video, we will go through tips and tricks for you to be able to get onto your iPad safely and securely online. We will explore the home screen and look at how you can use Safari as your web browser to be able to get online and manage your online browsing. We will look at how you can save certain websites as bookmarks and as little app icons so that you can access them at a touch of a button. We'll also look at autofill and finally look at how to do screenshots and scan documents to be able to manage how you use the internet to be able to help you get online. As always with our videos, you can rewind, pause and fast forward to be able to get to the parts that are important to you. So let's get started and see how you can get online on your iPad. So let's take a look at our iPad. When you are browsing online, you can use different web browsers if you feel more comfortable. The built-in web browser on your iPad is this app here called Safari. The icon is a compass. Now, I often use Safari, but if you wanted to, you can download Google Chrome and have that on your device as well if you are more comfortable with a Google Chrome environment. But let's have a look at Safari. If I tap on Safari here, I am using OS 26, so my browser might look slightly different to you in terms of its aesthetics, but in terms of how it works, it will be exactly the same. Down the left-hand side, you have the option to be able to have a little menu, and this is where you have your bookmarks, your reading list, that type of thing. And on the right-hand side here, at the top, this is where you can add windows and change between them. On iOS 26, you can also customize your start page by adding on favorites, suggestions, and things like that. And you can also choose a background image, for example, if you wanted to. So you can do that as well. Now, one of the things I do like to have on my start page is my privacy report. This just shows me how my web browser is making sure that I am being supported safely and securely and stops trackers from being able to profile you. And what's also handy right at the bottom is that you have your closed tabs there, so that if you did want to very quickly get onto a website that you've already been on, they are there on your start page. So let's take a look at Safari in more detail. So at the top of the screen, we have our menu that we just talked about before. And if you tap on there, you can either have that on visible at all times, or you can move it to the side so that it only comes up when you tap on it. And in here, this is where it saves any of your bookmarks that you have, anything that you've been searching your history. So for example, if you wanted to go back and have a look at something that you browsed earlier on in the week, you can do that through your history. And then it's also a way of being able to do private browsing as well. So private browsing is a way of being able to add in additional privacy restrictions on your tabs. So if you search through private browsing, it won't remember any of the pages that you visited, any of your search history, or any of your autofill information. So this just means that if you're doing any online banking and you want to be able to keep your data secure, then you could do that through private browsing, but you just have to remember that obviously it won't save any of your passwords. So if they are long and complex, you will need to type them in manually as well. So let's have a look at if we search at the top. In the middle here, we have our search browser, and you can either search by tapping on it, where it will bring up your keyboard and you will be able to type in something that you want to be able to search for example. Alternatively, you can also use the microphone button in the right hand corner to be able to dictate what you want to be able to search for. Once you have searched in there, my iPad automatically searches with Google and it will bring up your web links there for you. And you'll see along the top, those buttons are floating and will always remain there. So you've got your bookmark button there, your little tab, and then in the corner, you have these tools which we're going to talk about in a minute. So if I tap on the iPad user guide, which I would highly recommend, as in here, this is kind of the old booklet that you used to get with your devices, but now it's all done electronically. So in here, it goes through everything you will need to know about your iPad. And if you tap on the table of contents, it will go through and tell you everything. So for example, what's new in iPad OS 26, you have all of that information there for you, and it goes through. If you have an iPad that is running on a different operating system, you can tap on there and go back all the way to iOS 13, and you'll be able to find out there. So if you have an iPad on OS 17, for example, you can go back and see what's available to you there. Now, this is a really, really good website to be able to have at your fingertips. So let's save that as a little icon by coming up to the share button at the top, which is the square with the up arrow. And then if we tap on more, it will then allow us to add this to home screen. And in here, I can change what it says. So to iPad user guide. And then I'm just going to press add. And you'll now see that I actually have a little app here called iPad user guide. And we'll look at that later on as to how we can really manage that effectively. But that's just a very quick tool that will help you get sorted there. If you need another window in your device, you just come up to the top right hand corner and you have a little tab there. And if you just tap on the add button, it will give you another page in Safari, and then you can flick between the two. And if you want to load something up, for example, so if I just go www.bbc.co.uk, and then actually you don't want to have that screen, you can then just press the X button and it gets rid of it there. So being able to navigate Safari and be able to see what's available is really helpful for you to be able to get on safely and securely online. Now, we talked before about how we can use a tool to be able to save our web pages that we're using regularly as little apps, as little home screen apps. So let's have a look. So for example, if I wanted to have a look at the National Online Safety, for example, I can search that in my web browser at the top. It will come up with what I'm looking for. So say, for example, I'm looking for online safety for parents and carers. I can tap on there and it brings up the web page for me. So remember, if we come up to the top right hand side of the screen, we have the option of the share button. And if we tap on there, we can either add it to our favourites, which is that option there, which will then appear on the side here. Or what we can do is we can go tap on the more button and then go to add to home screen. And that's where we can then rename that if we want to. Now, what we can also do is we can also have a look at our settings in Safari to be able to help us with things like autofill, so that if we are filling out forms and things and being able to sign up for things, it does that a little bit easier. And to do that, I'm going to swipe up here and come down to my settings cog, which is the grey cog at the bottom of the screen there. It's often on your dock. And if I just tap on there, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scroll down the left-hand side of my screen just to right to the bottom where I look for apps. And if I tap on here, it has all of my apps in alphabetical order for all of my different settings. And if I tap on S for Safari, you'll see it's the first one that comes up. And this is where we can really start to tailor our web browser to be able to help us get online really effectively. So right at the top, it will allow you to be able to access Siri. So you can use Siri to be able to speak in and be able to do that in your search. You can set your default web browser as well. So at the minute, mine is Safari. So if I'm tapping on any links from my emails or anything like that, it will automatically go into Safari for me. If you have any other web browsers installed on your iPad, like Google Chrome, you can tap on there, and anything that you tap on your iPad in the future will then load up Chrome rather than loading up Safari. And that's also true for your search engine on your device. So at the minute I have mine in Google, it's just something that I'm familiar with, but you can then change that to Yahoo or Bing or DuckDuckGo or even Ecosia. So Ecosia is a web search engine which doesn't have the scope that Google does, but actually if you search on Ecosia, for every time you search on Ecosia, it plants a tree. So there are other web search engines available to you. I just tend to keep mine on Google just for ease. And if we scroll down here, you'll be able to see that you can also have a look at private browsing. When you start to type things, it can give you suggestions. If you want to switch those off, you can switch those off. But in the next section down here, you've got your general section, and this is where it will kind of help you manage your internet browsing more effectively. So you've got things like, for example, your start page favorites. You can have those on or off. You can show your favorites bar. I always have blocking my pop-ups so that they're not there. And any downloads I have going directly into my iCloud drive. If you don't have that set up and want to have those onto your iPad, then you can change that setting in there. But let's have a look at autofill. So this is really helpful if you're trying to buy anything online and you don't want to be putting in your credit card details all of the time. You can save your credit cards into there and manage all of those settings through your Apple Wallet. And you can also do it where it does the information from your contacts. So say, for example, you're wanting to purchase something online. If you have yourself in your phone as a contact, it will pull through your address, your postcode, your telephone number, all through there, so it means that you're not having to type that in all of the time. And if I just show you with my saved credit cards in here, it's always protected by a Touch ID or a Face ID, and then you can go in there and you can add in your cards and make sure that they're suitable for Apple Pay if you need to. So you've got those card features there, and you've also got your notifications in there, and also information about any order tracking and pre-authorized payments. If they were to be there, that's where they would show in there. And that you'll see now it's kind of jumped from the Safari tool into that Wallets and Apple Pay. So if we need to go back to Safari, we can tap on apps here at the side, go to Safari, and then we then have all of those features in there. So that's really useful just to be able to explore that menu, just to make sure that the information is correct. And if you're wanting to share things, obviously, if you don't want to have anything in autofill or save any credit card purchases, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to have any of that information in there. But if you wanted to, you can save that in there, and that will help you keep safe online, but also will be able to kind of streamline the process of you purchasing anything. Screenshots are a great way of being able to grab information really quickly so that you have it at a later date. And if you're anything like me, I'll often see things on Instagram or on Amazon and go, oh, I must get a hold of that. And I'm just screenshot it for use, and then I'll be able to then have it later to be able to go through my camera roll and work out what I've actually screenshotted. Now, depending on your device, whether your iPad has a home button or not, will depend on how you take a screenshot. So on my iPad here, I don't have a home button. I just have my swipe option here at the bottom. So when I go into Safari and say, for example, I pull up Amazon and I want to have a look at these deals, I can press my power button and my volume button at the same time, and it will then take a little screenshot for me, and it appears in the bottom left hand corner here. Now we do have different options when we've screenshotted. If we just press the tick in the corner, it will save it automatically. But let's have a look at some of the tools here. At the minute, it has done the screen. If you tap on full page, down the side here, it will show you it's actually taken a screenshot of the entire screen of Amazon. Now, it might be that you just want to have certain tools there that you can use, or you might want to be able to kind of have just a part of the screen, so you can do that as well. You can use the markup tool, which just appeared here down the side, where you can use different pen tools and be able to circle things if you want to. You can use that as well, or you can just leave it as it is. And then once you're happy with that, as we've just said before, if you tap on the tick, it will then give you the options as to where you want to save it. Do you want to save it to your camera roll and save it into photos? Do you want to save it into your files area? Or do you want to just delete it? So if I tap on there, it then saves that for me. And if I just go back out of Safari and go into my photos, you'll see here that there's the photo there that I can then either send on to somebody or keep or delete at a later date. So screenshots are really, really helpful to be able to have those quick bits of information saved at your fingertips. And remember, if you do have an iPad with a home button, to take your screenshot, you press your home button and your power button at the same time. However, the newer iPads don't have that home button, so it's tapping on the power button and the volume button at the same time to be able to take that photo. Now, sometimes it may be that you need to be able to submit a form online or upload a form online, and you already have a paper copy of it, for example. Your iPad has a great feature that allows you to scan documents using your camera app and then be able to edit them on your device and then be able to save them. So let's take a look at this. Now I'm going to do a demonstration here now that uses a DVLA form just because I knew that it would have all of the different elements to it. The best way to apply for a license is to do it online. So I am not advocating the use of downloading a paper document for your provisional license, but that's just the one that I got here now. So I'm just going to load up my camera up here onto the document that I have. And as you can see, as I'm hovering over it, it now gives me the option at the bottom to be able to scan document. And if I tap on there, it just says keep the document in view, and it will then take a picture for me. If I then load up the document here, you'll see that it has all of the different things where I can filter it, delete all of that type of thing, and then I can press the tick in the corner. Once I've pressed the tick in the corner, it then loads it up into kind of a holding menu where it can then start to look at how we can then look at filling this document in. And if I tap on the preview button here, what it will then do is it'll then almost put it like a little bit of a PDF option. And what will happen is it will say autofill can assist with filling in this form. So if I just tap on that blue button there, what it then does is it scans your form and allows you to start to be able to complete it. Now there is a little toolbar at the top here, so you can see that you can add in pens and that type of thing if you need to write it in, for example. And there's also, if you press the add button, a way of being able to add in your signature to a box. So you can then add it in and then move that signature, or you can make it bigger and smaller and move it around to where it would need to go. So say, for example, it needed to go in that box. But if you tap on autofill and tap on the box here, you will then be able to see you can start to type in and be able to fill in those boxes here. You can then change the font size, so you can make it bigger if you need to, or you can make it smaller. So you can then use that autofill feature to help you complete that form. And once it's then completed, you can then just make sure that if I just tap on the document at the side here, okay, you can then add in any other pages or if you want to. So if it's multiple, then you can do that as well. And if I just tap on the top here, you'll be able to see that you can change the name of the document by tapping on rename. So I could call this driving license form. But then if I just tap on that download button, you'll then be able to see you have different options. You can print it if you need to, or you can tap export. And in here, it allows you to be able to do it, for example, as a PDF or as pictures. And when you tap on the blue tick button there, it will then allow you to either save it into your iCloud drive or onto your iPad directly, so you have that there. and you can pop it into the downloads folder if that makes it easier. So there's lots of different places you can pop it here. But if I then save it into my iCloud Drive, it then means that if I then go into my files button, you will be able to see that here's the form that I have completed. And then from here, I can then share that by popping it onto an email or a message and be able to change the different devices here. Or it then means that if you go into a portal online and you upload your files, it will automatically go to this option here where you can choose the correct file. So being able to take a photograph, edit it online, add your signature, and then save it either as a PDF to print or into your iCloud Drive to be able to send off is a really, really powerful tool. So it's worth exploring that. We have covered a lot of things in this video that you may find useful, but what's next? What I would suggest is take a look at that iPad user guide that we spoke about right at the beginning of the video. In here, in the table of contents, there is a section, if you scroll down to where it says apps, and if we tap on here, we can go down to Safari and it will give us all of the information about what we've just been talking about there, about getting started with Safari, searching for websites, being able to download and annotate a PDF, for example. But also there's a security section in there as well, being able to browse the web privately like we talked about in private browsing mode, and being able to make sure that you get your warnings to make sure that websites are secure. And remember, you do not put anything into a website that doesn't have that padlock at the top to prove that it is a secure website. And it's really worth being able to have a look at these and be able to go through, for example, and get warnings on your device to make sure that it is a secure website. And as I said, because you have that saved on your device, it'll be a really good way of being able to keep up to date with that iPad user guide to be able to see what you can do safely and securely using Safari. And if I scroll down, there's also a dedicated privacy and security section. So you can go through there. A lot of that is duplicated from the Safari section, but it's also useful to know that it is there and that you can then access that too. We hope you have found this recap video useful. If you would like to attend this session live, please visit our workshop page on the Discover Digital part of our Family Fund website, and you will be able to book a session that works best for you. And we really look forward to seeing you there.